The red light is there.
Red light is there. All right, say something funny, Tom.
I think I look pretty slick today with my 80s look. You know,
That was
I'm
hilarious. That's a great joke.
I'm killing. Did you like my Ovaltine bit? It's great. I'm killing it.
How you guys doing, folks? This is Peter Hartman here with Tom Hartman. We're going to be talking about Derek Chauvin trial. We're not going to be talking long about that. Very short about that. There was a Bitcoin versus gold debate that happened today. Maybe you're not privy to it. That's because you're not cool enough. But we're going to catch you up to speed on that. We're going to talk about more about Agora, my debate project using the Make a Millionaire principle. And then we're going to get to Tom is going to be talking about why you should pay attention to technology trends. But before we get to that, I just want to let you know, folks, right now we're streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. We're streaming straight to the Happy for a Change audience over at facebook.com/Happy for a Change. Folks, the reason why I'm streaming to the audience is that we just want you to know that this show is happening, that we're having these conversations. We're offering you an organic learning opportunity. It's kind of like a salon where you get to hear two people, and talk about topics. You're going to learn about the world, to get exposed to great ideas. But we're not going to be doing it on Facebook Live. I'm not going to be streaming on Facebook forever. We're only going to be on YouTube. So we're just doing this here so that you know the show is happening. Go over to youtube.com/Happy for Change, hit subscribe, and hit the little bell so you get notified when we go live. We're going to be going live at least 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and other times if we feel like it. And we have a lot of fun things to talk about. We have an announcement here today that we're going to be making at the end of the show, so you want to stick by for that. Something pretty exciting, at least exciting for us. So just letting you know that this is Jumpstart. It's a type of organic learning. You're going to be learning through hearing our conversations, getting exposed to great ideas. So make sure you go over to YouTube and subscribe. That's why we're streaming on Facebook. If you're in the audience right now and you're like, what's going on here? What's this Jumpstart thing? Why are these guys popping up in our feed? It's because we want to let you know that it's happening. All right. I wanted to get that off my chest. Another thing to get off my chest is Derek Chauvin trial, Tom.
Yeah. Did I tell
Guilty
you I had a
on
conversation
all
with
counts.
had a conversation with mom about this? A very short-lived conversation.
What's that?
She messaged me before the verdict was in,
Are you
and she
allowed
said,
to say the conversation that you had with mom?
"You're gonna see it's very short."
All
And
right.
the conversation was just her asking me what my opinion was. Like, what did I think? Do I think that the police officer should be convicted or not? And amongst other things, I was like, well, I mean, just from I haven't followed the case as closely as anybody else, but I was like, not necessarily. Like, I wouldn't say it's a slam dunk case. Two charges of what, a third degree murder, second degree murder, and then manslaughter. I go, okay, fine, manslaughter I could understand. It's in the name, but intent, I don't know. I don't know if there's any intent to kill. The guy didn't seem to have the eyes of a killer, but I'm not on the jury, right? I was on a different jury, right? A different national jury. I mean, some might say international. One of the biggest cases of our times. They did a Netflix special about it, but not this. This case is not where I'm an expert on. So
Well, the second degree murder charge, if I understand correctly, I'm not a lawyer anymore, or ever. Um, but the second degree murder is not an intent to murder, but an intent to assault that then leads to murder. So you might not intend to murder them, but you did intend to assault them.
mhm.
And then that is second degree murder. Murder 3, I think, is you fully intended to murder the dude. You set out to do it. But murder 2. So even there was like, I don't believe he intended to murder the dude. I mean, who wants to commit a murder while everybody's watching you? It's going to be the dumbest murder in the history of murders. That and OJ
I don't
Simpson.
know. On the trial that I was on, did I mention this? The trial that I was on, the person did want everyone to see, but no, sorry. You continue your point. I really don't want to take the center stage on this.
Bring up your historic trial again, Tom. You're so wonderful. Did you have to go to school to be on the juror? Okay, there's nothing special about you being on this trial. But uh, you sidetracked me. I forget why'd you say?
Well, how do you feel about the verdict? Like, guilty on all charges, same day result, guilty on all charges
I
for a
think is
police
there
officer.
reasonable doubt that the guy didn't intend to kill this dude? I think so. Is there reasonable doubt that he? Do I believe that he intended to do this physical thing to this guy that then led to his death? On some level, kind of, yeah. Did he have some type of negligence that caused this guy to die? Is it what he did on the level of driving drunk and then you accidentally kill someone? I think kinda. The argument is, was his knee on his neck or was it not? All right. Did he follow the procedures or did he not? And there seemed to be some ambiguity there. Like some of the testimony was like, no, he didn't follow procedure. It seems to be convoluted. It seems to be unclear. Sometimes these cases is what clarifies the law. It's what clarifies the the procedures. Unfortunately, in this case, it cost Derek Chauvin his life and George Floyd his life as well.
That's right. And there's a
Um,
case to be made for that if you're trying to tackle systemic racism, and especially in the police force, that what you want to do is convict as many of these either clear cut or gray area situations as possible, just to put the fear of God into the police force. But what we're
there is
also seeing is that the police officers are quitting, or there's a pushback there, which some people think is a good idea, but other people don't. So that's
I think two major things that really bother me is one, the jury wasn't sequestered, so they
right.
knew their city was going to burn
That's right. The
if this guy
Minnesotan
didn't get
jury,
killed.
not even they
That's
didn't even
right.
get to move somewhere else.
You had Maxine Waters, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who Congressperson, I don't know how you're supposed to say it. She said guilty, guilty, guilty. That they better come back with guilty. And yes, the judge says the jury were instructed not to watch the news. Folks, I
Yeah.
mean, I
So
don't know. Are we supposed to? This whole thing relies on the fact that they didn't watch the news. There's evidence that their family members were talking to them, that they had to drive by protests. Like they knew their city was going to burn. So, and then there was this whole campaign that went against them for a whole year before this trial even began. So, was a jury tainted? So, the first issue was that there was a lot of weight behind. I would feel this pressure of coming back with guilty. If anybody finds out I'm on the jury, like I'm in trouble now, where I got to go and
absolutely,
change my life because I come out.
absolutely.
That's a little like how could you get a fair trial there? Whatever. And then the second issue is it's almost certainly guy is going to win his appeal. Like nobody's talking about this. When you get a case and it's done, it's not done. You can then appeal the case and go, oh, blah, blah, didn't work out. And I think what's going to happen is the same thing that frustrates me a lot. We have this huge hubbub. It's all in the news. We're all focused on it. And then it goes away in some type of resolution, but then it's not really resolved. Like something unwinds in the future, or some knot gets untied, someone gets out. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, we arrested Roger Stone and for with the investigation against Donald Trump, and then a year later, 2 years later, he gets pardoned. Like a lot of these stories, they don't end where you think they end. Just because the media stops talking about it doesn't mean it ends there. So I think this guy's going to win on appeal, right? Jury was tainted. Should the jury have even been selected from a jury pool that was in the place of the crime where they had a year to be exposed to the media? I think he's going to win an appeal. So that's the other thing. Are we going to get back to this in a year from now when the news talks about how Derek Chauvin won his appeal? Like it just.
So you're saying that this could have been a win-win situation where the people who wanted him convicted got their win
That,
today, and
that's exactly how I feel
okay,
about it. I
right.
feel kind of good about it because even though it's unfair or whatever, I don't think anything is straight and unfair. I don't think there's unfair. I don't think there's any sort of fair process. I think it's always biased or lopsided in some way. The riots didn't happen. I was not looking forward to that. I was not looking forward to the life lost because of that. I was looking to the violence and the businesses destroyed or whatever. And then Derek Chauvin, he got his guilty thing, but he might have a chance to win an appeal, and maybe that's the fair way to do it, so he can go do his appeal without all the spotlight on him. I don't know. It's all been very complicated and kind of heartbreaking all around. Whether you care about George Floyd, the justice system, both, I fall in the camp of caring about both. I don't believe in vigilante justice, mob rule, and all that stuff. But at the same time, I understand the sentiment. I watched the video. I saw what happened. I watched a lot of the trial.
Well, call me a cynical trader and investor, but when I see the news en masse directing my attention somewhere, I go, well, I gotta see what else is going on. Like whatever the news is massively paying attention to, unless it's a meteor coming to Earth or Godzilla coming out of the ground, like, do not be paying attention to that. There has to be something way more important that you're not looking at. And
I
so
think
I don't like once the hype is there, once it's all the headlines, I go, no, thank you. I deliberately like left that alone. I move on to the next thing. Because the Trayvon Martin case that completely took up my time, and I
yeah.
just want to be one of those people who like the verdict of the case weighs on me so much that I miss the forest for the trees. There's other things to pay attention to here.
Well, let's pay attention to other things. So, just in case you're just tuning in right now, Derek Chauvin, guilty on all counts. The guy's uh, that's done for now. So, if you're wondering what happened with that, we talked about it in the last broadcast. That's what happened. All right, on to another topic, a better topic. Today was a great day because there was this debate between Bitcoin and gold. Michael Saylor on the side of Bitcoin and Frank Giustra on the side of gold. They're both billionaires. Frank is a Canadian. Mr. Giustra is a Canadian, so that was interesting. It was hyped up. I was very eager to watch this thing. As far as a traditional debate goes, Tom, did you see it?
No, no, I was
It
too busy looking at the Safe Moon AMA. Goodness gracious.
well, so I follow Michael Saylor. I've watched hours and hours and hours and hours
Too
of the guy
much. I'm going to
talking
say too much.
Bitcoin.
Michael Saylor,
Not even close to enough.
him and Chamath Palihapitiya and Elon Musk. You really love these social media charlatans.
Yeah, these
Yeah,
mavericks.
you're a big fan.
I really like them. So I've been following, if you're in the Bitcoin space, maybe you know about Michael Saylor. The guy owns hope.com. And if you go to
Yeah.
hope.com, it leads to Bitcoin, all things Bitcoin, because Michael sees he's a huge proponent. He put $1 billion, if in case you don't know this, Michael Saylor put $1 billion into Bitcoin.
Of his
So
company treasury, the
all of
the,
his cash in the company, they put it into Bitcoin and
the
then borrowed
first
money
CEO
into Bitcoin.
to do such a thing publicly, anyway.
That's right. And so he got the ball rolling. He tweeted out to Elon Musk that Elon Musk should do the same thing. So Elon Musk's company, Tesla, put I don't know how much money into
Well,
Bitcoin.
I think Michael Saylor visited the because he put on this conference for like rich people, like this 1,000 people conference about Bitcoin that no one else could see except these rich people. Then Elon Musk comes out of that, and now Elon Musk is a believer. I don't know. This is what I pieced together. I don't know what billionaires are doing.
We have a comment here from a Facebook user. Social media charlatans, LOL, while your brothers got your number, Peter. He definitely I think I know who this is. I'm not 100% sure. So I won't say. Just so you know, if you are posting a comment from within a group, you're going to appear as Facebook user. The name is private. So if you're on YouTube, then we'll see your name and I can shout you out. If you're on a group, then it keeps it private. So you
Yeah.
understand. So there's the
Well, you
comment
could
there.
include your name if you want in the comment.
Yeah, or just go over to youtube.com and comment from there because that's where we want everybody to go because we're not going to be on
Peter,
Facebook.
let's just cut the feed right now to Facebook. Just cut it off.
Just cut
Right?
it off. Yeah,
They're
why?
foaming at the mouth. They're juicing. They want it. Just cut off the feed. They'll be
Speaking of
scrambling
foaming at
for a
the
live
mouth,
feed.
so I was foaming at the mouth, just salivating, waiting to watch this debate. Right, Daniela Cambone from Stansberry Research is the one who moderated the conversation, the debate, and you had Michael Saylor versus Frank Giustra. Now, look, go watch the thing. You can sign up. I tweeted out about it. You can find the link there at I Love Peter Paul on Twitter, and you can watch the debate. It's about 2 hours long. I'm not even going to talk about that because I've watched hours of Michael Saylor. He said what he normally says. Like there's nothing special there. And I haven't watched hours of Frank Giustra, but
Wait, was Frank convinced to buy Bitcoin?
no, no.
Oh,
And the thing is, the style of debate, I don't think it was possible for him to be convinced. Now, here's the thing.
yeah.
This is
So
what I want to talk
this
about.
is your sticking point. This is what
This
you're
is what
ranting about
bothers
today.
me. Okay, so it was a very, in terms of a traditional debate, it was very well done, very well executed. Very few ad hominem attacks, very clear understanding of what the questions are and answers, time delineated. People didn't go over. You didn't feel like anybody took more time or anything like that. That being said, what kind of shit way to do a debate is this? Okay, 5 minutes to answer the question, 1 minute for a rebuttal, for follow up, and then that's it. Like you need follow up after follow up after follow up. I mean, how many conversations are you having? I say something to you, Tom, and then you come back with one thing, and that's it. I can't even go back on what you just rebutted my
Peter,
thing.
I wish relationships were like this. It would be fantastic. Just move forward, get reelected. No, the presidential debates were exactly like this, right? Is that what they were modeling? Is that what it felt like?
It's exactly like that. There was actually a very good presidential debate, like compared to other debates that happened in the last cycle with Trump and Biden. I think it was Martha Raddatz, if I'm not mistaken. What was it? ABC, PBS? Anyway, I can't remember the names, but the moderator, mostly stayed out of it. She put the question out there, and then she let them talk. And she didn't actually cut them off at their time. Like she mostly let them speak, especially when they got into it. You know what I mean? Like when you start getting into the conversation, you're like, I'm not going to stop them here because they've hit their limit. Let them continue the conversation. Let it go. So I really like that. In this part here, it wasn't really like that. In fact, when the question is posed to Michael, you don't even see Frank's reaction. He's not even on the screen. It's just Daniela Cambone and Michael Saylor, or Daniela Cambone and Frank. And so it felt like it was like two interviews going on,
Right, right.
not these two people talking to each other. And it felt like more like they were talking to the moderator than they were talking to each other. Like I can just imagine the conversation they would have had if it was 3 hours, just them talking alone. We would learn so much more from the conversation than you answer the question. Like virtually all these answers, I could have Googled these answers. Like I could have watched any of those videos. Like it's like they weren't really talking to each other. They weren't in the same room. It was a virtual, but it's like they weren't even in the same space. I found it incredibly frustrating. Every time it's like they make a point, the other person says, I disagree, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
They make a point, I disagree, and then that's it. But no, back and forth why you disagree, back and forth why you disagree, dig down deep.
I
Like,
really thought the whole point of this was that the Frank was like inviting Michael to please convince me. Like I want to believe, but I just don't see it, and that's what I was so eager for.
he came open, like he was open with this idea of like I want to believe, sort of, but it was just out of respect. He didn't believe. It's not like I'm going to go buy a used car, and then I'm open for the salesman to sell me. He
Mhm.
wasn't looking for a used car. He was just like, oh, you guys are selling cars. Let me go check out what you have to offer. So in that spirit, like I don't think he was disingenuous. I think he was, if you could convince him, he would buy Bitcoin. But he didn't really get to talk to Michael in the way that Michael speaks, so that they could actually have a real conversation. It
So
was
what's
a
a good format
debate.
for a debate? What would you want to see? Like you're not talking about just like put a microphone in between them and then just leave it be. Like you're thinking about some sort of format.
Okay, at the very least, putting a microphone between them and letting them talk for 3 hours will beat 99.9% of all debates. Okay, if you just let the candidates on stage just talk, then you're going to see like how do you handle, let's say one person is like overbearing and insulting or whatever, you're going to get to see how the other person handles someone like that.
Okay, so I saw a debate like this. So Ash Bennington, one of the hosts and editors on Real Vision, the financial platform that I refer to all the time, and there was a debate between Pompliano and Mike Green. So Pompliano, anyone in the Bitcoin space, he's a big one of those social media proponents of Bitcoin.
Charlatan.
True believer. He's a true believer. I think Chamath
To me.
doesn't necessarily believe everything he's saying, but who knows?
What? How
Um,
dare you? How
that's
dare
just a,
I will fight you right now.
well.
I love
I
that guy.
I go based on the performances of the stocks he promotes. So that's the stock
Go
market
tell
tells
me.
you the truth.
Pomp and Green. Go ahead.
Pomp and Mike Green, and Mike Green is like this really well-spoken, very intelligent uh, analyst for the markets. He's not an economist. He analyzes market trends and market practices and flows of money, blah blah blah. And he's like completely against Bitcoin, or he thinks it's a bad bet for a lot of people to make with all their money. Whereas Pomp is all about go all in sort of thing or whatever. He's not against going all in. And the debate that they had with each other started off okay, and then clearly Pomp took something that Mike Green said as a ad hominem attack, and then it evolved into like Mike Green sort of like trying to be the adult in the room as Pump is just like so that's where it was awkward. Like then I was happy where Ash, who normally doesn't jump in, would jump in order to like, well, I think what Mike's saying is this, and I think what Tony is saying is this. Like that's when I want the moderator to come in when it's like it's jabbing back and forth when they've gone too far down a definitions pass or making claims about the other person's motivations and personality. Like that's what I want the moderator for. But if that's not happening, then you're right. I want the moderator to be completely invisible. I don't even want to see them on the screen. I want to forget the moderator is there until there's the referee settled on the brawl. When you're seeing a fight, you don't want the referee to be standing there the entire time. Just you want them to fade into the background.
Yeah, I totally agree. My favorite debates are when the moderator is literally tiptoeing around. They're barely making their presence known. They're keeping the conversations going, keeping it on track, but not in any way concerned about the time, like a stickler for time and only 5 minutes, and then the conversation flow. But it's the format that's my problem. You asked
Hey,
me.
wait a second. Okay, finish what you're saying.
You asked me what? Well, tell me because I'm going to tell.
Yeah, so the Agora format, like you haven't necessarily decided who you would want to see pitted against each other, but like wouldn't it be cool to organize an actual Bitcoin conversation the way that we want people to actually tackle it?
Absolutely. You are in the Bitcoin space. You know who might be more interesting to have them go head to head. But yes, absolutely. I wish I could have moderated this debate. I wish I could have participated there. But you asked me what type of format would I want, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And at the very least, I want a long form conversation period where it's just like we don't need 5-minute opening statements, which is what happened here today. We don't need 5-minute opening statements. If you're coming to watch this thing and you haven't even looked up these guys, you haven't watched a single thing, we're not supposed to cater to you. We're going to cater to people who know zero about the people. You can't go look up a 30-minute, a 10-minute video about each one of them and then figure out their positions on these things. You need them to reintroduce anything. Like, come on, man. Come on. So I want what I want is a long-form conversation, at least a portion of a long-form conversation, right? 3 hours is ideal. 2 hours is okay, right? Because you can fool people for an hour, an hour and a half,
Right.
whatever. 2 hours, you're just getting into it. 2 hours is good if you're dealing with one topic,
Right?
maybe two, right? But 3 hours, you can handle 3 or 4.
Where
Two.
our own phone conversations, if we're on more than one topic, like it's not enough time if we only have
Not
an
enough
hour or 2
time for
hours.
anything. Like if they're simple, easy topics where you don't disagree, okay, fine. But if they're meat and potatoes, then you got to finish this meal. Like, what is the point of moving off of? It's like you're at a restaurant, you're eating your salad, your appetizer, and then they come and bring your meal. And they're like, "Oh, we got to take the salad away because your meal's here." And you're like, "But I didn't finish my appetizer." Like, "But your meal's here." And you're like, that's the point of these questions is not just to give you a cursory thing and then move on. The person is to get down into it. If you get stuck on one thing, then get stuck on one thing. It means that where you going to find common agreement on the fourth topic down the line. So that's how I feel about it. Long form conversation. That's the first element. Now, in order for it to be exciting, is like I do like it when it can get contentious. I do like it when they're like rules kind of make things limitations makes things exciting. Right? You don't want to watch a basketball game where it's like, oh, they're gonna just play until they all feel like stopping. Like it's just like it'd be boring. You need a stop clock, so there has to be some level of that. So, in my idea for Agora, you want it to be interesting not only to nerds, but you want it to be interesting to most people. So, we move from the long form conversation into let's say 30 minutes, an hour of Q&A from the audience, live Q&A, live questions, right? So maybe questions have been submitted beforehand, and those are the main questions. But the follow-ups should come from the moderator and from the live audience. That's what I want. I want people to be watching and go, no, hang on, no, he didn't answer this properly. Ask this question, and for there to be some mechanism where these questions can be voted up. Like we went to a debate. It was not a debate. It was a conference, a seminar, a lecture, or something about AI. Remember when we went
Yes,
to
for the Sierra. the CIRA, the Canadian Internet Regulatory whatever for .ca names. Yeah, it was
It was interesting. So you go
it
up
was
there,
interesting.
there's
Yeah.
a panel of people who are talking, and then we had a service where you could put your question in the app. And then everybody is voting. Like while we're watching this thing, you see the question and you vote on the question you want. So it moves up in the queue,
I
and then the
loved that.
moderator's like,
I loved it.
so
It
the
was the best
moderator,
part of it.
yeah, absolutely. I don't want the moderator to have their job to come up with the questions because then it'll only be as good as the moderator, and it better be a kick-ass moderator, or else
You
it's going
want
to
you
be
want the
terrible.
super chat. You always want a super chat for everything. That's what you want.
Absolutely, but not just superset. It's that we voted on the
Oh,
question,
sure.
right? So that it's not just like because you were first, you get there. Because you like, I don't like that. I want it to be like the crowd says, no, we all think this question is more appropriate, crowdfunded question. So then the questions bubble up, and then the moderator is just looking. Okay, the next question is this. And then then this moderator, okay, follow up. No, this doesn't make sense. Hey, audience, does that make sense to you? Should we move on? Like, no, like let's
Right.
stick on this. And then finally, you're gonna find something where the fire is caught, and we were like, no, we absolutely need an answer to this question. We gotta fight it out. Like at the end of it, if the both we go, well, I don't know how to tell you. Well, then you just revealed the bottom of your knowledge, like your capacity to explain this idea.
That's what you want in debate. You want in a debate that they get through all their bits, they get through their zip file ideas, their quotes, and they get to the point where both of them are in the leading edge of their thought, where this is where they're churning their idea. This is where their current understanding has brought them, and have those things clash. Because then out of that will come things that even to them is surprising. Either understanding more about their point or understanding the other person's point. As long as you stay within the bit area, um, when I say bit, I just mean your rehearsed scripts area. Then it's like you said. All I have to do is listen to something else that you said, and Q&A forces that, especially if the people in the audience they know your bits. Then they're like, yeah, okay,
Exactly.
yeah. Let's just move
Like
on past
I've
that.
watched Elon Musk give interviews, right?
Mhm.
Or whatever. Like Elon Musk gives a lot of interviews, so I've watched them, and I watch all the interviews. Like I watched them all. The amount of times the
The
interviewer will
same
ask the
question.
exact
The same
questions that
question.
everybody else asked. What is the point of having all this content and footage in the air when you're just going to come and it's just going to be repeating the same thing? When
Mhm.
in my session, in my group sessions, when I have audience ask questions and I answer them, the best moments are when I've exhausted all that I typically say. The person is still demanding answers, and I have to then creatively, in the moment, come up with an idea that occurs to me in the moment. Something gets revealed to me, and go, now I found an even better way to persuade people, a better argument that I wouldn't have found but for this stubborn individual. Everybody else, oh, yeah, I understand. Do they really understand? This guy is like, I don't understand. I don't understand. And then finally, I do understand. And now I've explained it in a way I've never explained it before. Now I'm improved. They're improved. The whole conversation has been improved. So you have to, like you say, get past the bits and get them to be challenged in a point where they've exhausted all their words and now they have to come up with something or admit defeat. And even if they admit defeat, that demonstrates something valuable as well. It demonstrates, that's where you fail. Like, and there's people like Richard Feynman where you're not going to find a bottom to him. He'll be able to
Right.
find some way to explain the concepts of physics to you, and you will understand it as long as you're willing to sit there and listen. He'll find some creative way to do it. Some
Mhm.
creative way to do it. Comedians do this sometimes too. It's like, oh, you didn't find that funny? Okay, let me show you a different. This is why it's funny. Oh, and then you're like, oh, that was an even funnier way of showing
That's it.
what's funny than the way that I initially came up with. And that's what
Mhm.
I want from debates. Debates should be
Well, I look forward
forces
then
of
to
creativity.
seeing you start these. I want to see. I want we got to start making the content we want to see. Like that's what we want to see. We want to
Yeah.
got to start putting these people together. And I used to think that people were harder to reach than I thought. And as we get older, I realized, nah, man, you just gotta. People want an opportunity to put themselves out there to understand more, and if you give them a good platform to do it, you can get people. You can get people on board. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, we talked about before. I'm not going to go on about it, but I see these projects out there. that I want to be involved in more, and I see Happy for a Change as a way of doing that, as a platform to be like, okay, how can we get involved? How can we introduce this idea to people inside of the audience, and how can we build something? How can we help people build something so we could see the world that we want to see? That's what Happy for a Change is about. We want to see a change in the world and get it in there
Happy
and really, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, getting in there, really mixing up and changing, getting engaged, interacting with the world. It's not enough to just be a bystander and watching what's going on, waiting for other people to know to get stuff done. We can do it. And the ideas that Happy for Change gravitates to and the ideas that we propose are ideas that involve the crowd. These are not ideas that Tom and Peter are going to present something to you and then now you're just going to, we're the kings and now you're going to have to deal with it. It's you asked me what should the debate be. I want to know from the audience, like, what should be involved in the debate? Should there be scores? There be a live audience meter that lets you know the sentiment if anybody's been swayed? Should there be betting? Should there be, there's all kinds of ways that we can do this, and I'm open to the crowd. Happy for Change is about exposing people to great ideas and coming up with ideas on their own. Part of what I'm a little worried about, Tom, is that people are getting so used to 5-minute responses
Mm-hmm.
that you see that in the news, right? 5-minute segments. They'll interview a great person. 5-minute segment, 3-minute segments. We got to get to a commercial break. So, we're gonna have to do this next time. It's like you're teaching people to be so lazy with their minds. You're giving people fast food all the time. And you're like, oh, what do you mean I have to wait at the restaurant for my meal for 20 minutes or for 30 minutes? They have to prepare it in some special way. No, I want my food right now. I'm hungry right now. Like, no. Okay. It's time we start learning to sit down and to listen to one another. I see it even in interpersonal conversations where I hear people having arguments. They're so one-dimensional. It's like you make your statement, and then it's like they're copying what they're seeing on TV, what they're seeing in the news, what they're seeing their politicians do. Everybody thinks, oh, this person spoke for 5 minutes on a topic. They give us a complete answer. There is no complete answers for 5 minutes other than what do you feel like eating right now? Okay, there's no answer
I tweeted out.
real that lasts only 5 minutes.
That's right. I tweeted out today this idea that's been bugging me, where you see this often Twitter threads or on comments on YouTube videos or whatever, where someone will put a popular quote as an answer. We're like, those who would sacrifice liberty for security deserve and they'll just have a quote there with no nothing, just like, this quote is my answer. And so I tweeted out that quotes, just because they're popular or memorable, it doesn't make them a fact. A quote is useful in that it's a compressed idea, it's a zip idea, but it's not any more true just because it's catchy. What I wanted to say, in addition to that, was that horrible people in history have also had great quotes in order to rally people to do terrible things. And people go, yeah, that's a catchy tune. The propaganda that you see on ads for genocides and all that stuff, that was catchy too. It's like, I don't care how popular it is, or just because it's been repeated again and again. And people have this mentality that this knockout phrase, this knockout tweet, this knockout quote, and that's it. That's the end of the conversation. Just because something sounds nice.
Yeah, I know. It's really nuts, the mental laziness that we have in our society. Like, I know, Tom, we're both long-winded. All right. We challenge ourselves to do an hour show, and all that we leave on the table is just like, it hurts us. It hurts us. We're going to be on 3 days a week only because that's as close as we can get to, like, at least we're getting it out. And that's after already spending an hour or two talking every single day. So we talk for a long time. That's our thing. But I think part of the reason why we do that is because we recognize we are so dissatisfied with the answers that most people give on most topics that it blows my mind. Like,
okay, so you sent me this video
Yeah.
of Lex Friedman and I forget his name,
Yes.
something Breedlove.
I didn't remember his name.
So he was talking about Bitcoin and history of money and stuff like that. And a well-spoken guy, came at it from a good place, but he committed the crime here that I'm talking about, that we're sort of talking about, where he was quoting books and other people's ideas so much that I was like, okay, but so where's your idea now in this? Like, you're stitching together other people's idea, which I totally understand. I get that as that's valuable in such a way. You're exposing people to new ideas. Like if I mention, we mentioned the fourth turning, I want people to go read it. If I mention infinite powers, I want people to go read about calculus. If I mention um, just any book at all, fine. I'm mentioning this because I want you to go pay attention to it, but not as an endpoint. Not as okay, so we take this for granted and we move on. You might have an understanding of how this all stitches together, but you haven't actually delved this. You haven't presented this in such a way that someone who doesn't have all that information can click into it. And so I'm watching this podcast, and I was like, this is very unfortunate that this bright person is relying so much on this. It's sort of like in school, if you're writing an essay, you do an oral presentation. If you can't write it in your own words, then the teacher says, "Well, then you didn't understand it." Like you just rephrase something else that someone else did, or you just stuck things together. You're not actually bringing anything new. So
And
I want to see more of that.
there's nothing wrong with relaying information and all that stuff, but we shouldn't then see those people um, as the champions of the idea and as the be all and end all. Like we have to
Well,
start
if you're quoting a book, if you're
on the
quoting
value.
something, and you don't have anything to add to it, then there was really no need for me to listen to you. Just make the case that I need to read this book. Don't quote it. Make the case that I need to read it. That's how I choose a lot of my books. Like people who make the case, they go, "Look, I can't explain it any better than this thing. If I could, we would have that conversation, but I can't. So go read this thing." Right. So that's how I choose basically all the books that I read. Things that people find it just no point in summarizing it. It's sort of like talking about a TV show or talking about a song. They're like, no, just go watch the show, listen to the music, and then we can have a conversation.
Totally. It's kind of how I. Maybe I shouldn't bring that up.
How much time do you have left? I haven't even looked at the
So
time.
we're
Yeah,
at
we're good.
37 minutes. So we do have to move on because we have your topic coming up here.
Yeah.
Um, I was just going to bring up John Wick because I was chatting with Alex today, my friend Alex today, about John Wick, and I was like, "Why the hell is this movie so popular?" All right, all he does is shoot guns, and there's no story. There's like no story, nothing at all. Like, why are people so satisfied with anemic content? I don't get it. I don't get it. All right. I know we talk, we're like, hey, we got to get a 5 minute clip. You're like, in my head, I'm like, we're never going to get a 5 minute clip out of what we're talking about. All right. So my idea is Agora, Agora, Agora. And the part that I left out was not only will there be long form conversations, live Q&A element, and multiple follow-ups ad nauseum, there will be a making millionaire principle behind it. So you get money for participating in this debate. And that's going to make people who would not otherwise debate come to the debate. How are you going to say no to $2 million? Oh, I don't need $2 million. You don't know anybody else who needs $2 million? Have you passed a homeless person on the street today? How dare you say no to this? That's what I want. I can't wait, because it's fine to see two people who want to debate each other.
Mhm.
But can you imagine two enemies debating each other? I mean, my God, that'd be so fantastic. And to me, that would be the most exciting aspect of what I have to offer here. All right, Tom, you wanted to talk about why you should pay attention to technology trends. So let me ask you, why should you pay attention to technology trends? Is the question I would ask. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, no.
It's just an idea that I've been kicking around a bit. I'm really trying to stick my teeth into it because the conversations that are surrounding me nowadays, it's like crypto, crypto, crypto. And at first, I thought it was just because I have a particular interest in that. I like financial markets. I like the idea of sound currency. I came from an Austrian economics background and thought. Um, it ties a little bit into politics. It ties into a banking system. So I thought, okay, that's what I like about it. But it's like absorbing like everything. It's like in every field that I'm interested in. It's gaining ground, and I saw this on Real Vision. Real Vision, the financial platform, education platform, started off by teaching me about stocks, like the main elements of the stock market: stocks, bonds, commodities, derivatives, and shoot. currencies, right? These were the things that people trade, generally, and they can make a lot of money on that. And depending on trends that happen in the world, population growth, what governments are doing with money, wars that are occurring, you can make money this way. And that's what the platform was really trying to explain to people. And it started off with like, okay, we're going to do a little bit of crypto. Like people are interested in crypto, so we're going to do a little bit of crypto. And as they kept talking about it, and as the returns were so large, and as the ecosystem started growing and growing, it became basically equal to the content. Crypto content was equal to all the other content from the stock market. I mean, you could understand, like, so someone would be like, well, we're giving you tips on how to make 15% profit on your Apple shares, and here it's like, well, you can make 300% profit in a week if you time it right. So it's sort of like, okay. And then you had this argument that happens on this platform where people who don't want to hear anything about the crypto stuff, they're like, enough, it's crypto this, crypto that, we don't care about this newfangled beanie babies technology, the speculative bubble, not interested in that. I want to hear about real stuff, stocks and bonds and things I can actually deal with. um and so these two groups are arguing, and they're like, why is Real Vision turned into this crypto school? Like, what's going on? And finally, Raul Powell, the CEO of Real Vision, came on and did a video the other day, and he was saying, "Look, I get it. I get it. You want to hear about 2% moves in interest rates on Japanese bonds. You want to hear what the central banks are doing. You care about demography. Like, I understand. I understand it. I spent 30 years in this industry, and I understand that those things are where you think, oh, I'm going to make the big money. I'm going to make the money like Warren Buffett. I'm going to make the money like George Soros if I play this right." He goes, but it doesn't compare to anything in crypto. It just doesn't. You want to talk about bonds, and he's making 200% profit on a position in 4 months. He's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm not interested, and that's it. Don't bother talking to me about anything else, because that's all I really care about. And I was like, oh yeah, yeah. He's like, I forget who said it. I think it was Mark Andreessen was talking about this idea of software is eating the world, where you can't escape software. It's sort of like how you can't escape the internet. Like, if you imagine you're trying to go about your day of work, and you didn't have access to the apps on your phone, you didn't have access to your email, and you didn't have access to the information you could get online in order to solve a problem. Like, if people said, oh, can we stop just talking about the internet already? I'm trying to think about plumbing. Like, you'd be like, no, you can't separate the idea. Like, I could find out way more about plumbing if you give me 3 hours and YouTube videos that I can just talking to you. So no, this idea of separating the internet from our conversations is like silly, right? It doesn't make sense anymore. It's part and parcel of it. And crypto is quickly becoming that as well, because having software and money joined together, now you have both aspects. You have technology and currency, the two main aspects. I mean, you're working all day to get the paper money. Like, you are working at your job to get this paper thing. All right. And now they go in, and for years now, for the last 10, 15 years, you weren't even getting the paper thing. You were getting a direct deposit in your account, and a digital thing. So you're like, okay, I was already spending this digital thing, and now this idea that this digital thing that you have could be more valuable, right? In every part of your life. So it's one of those things where you can't escape the technology. So I was thinking to myself, well, what if it's not specific to crypto? What if, like, that's what happens with technology? Whenever you have technology changes, all the conversation revolves around that. And so I started going through history, just going backwards, and that this has happened many times before, right? I'm not just talking about when TV and radio came about and phone came about, which itself was revolutionary. It became like sort of um, conversations revolved around what was happening on TV, because now you had a shared cultural event that everyone could buy into, references that people can make that other people could understand. So you had this shorthand in conversations. You had these role models that you never had before. Like, it made sense that that a conversation revolved around that. And that was just TV. But when you think about, let's say, the printing press, So when the printing press came, like before that, money was in primarily in sorry, not even the printing press, just paper. And the invention of paper started way before the printing press, around 100 and 100 AD, I think, in China. Um, Minting coins was like that's what people did. You minted coins in order to transfer wealth around. And then when paper came about, that's where you first could start writing IOUs down on paper. You could start doing that. And so paper, the printing press really started to kill um, gold as the main currency. Like it's not crypto that did it. It started way back then. In fact, in 1971, when finally the world was off the gold standard, is because they were like, we can't get the productivity that we need if we're stuck with this gold thing, right?
Mhm.
We need more of this productivity, and the paper was able to unleash that. But even gold, when gold came about, people like to say, "Oh, gold was around for 6 to 10,000 years." Yeah, but before they learned how to mint it, people weren't sharing gold nuggets. They were bartering the actual assets, cattle, and your livestock or fruits and vegetables. So it was like money. Sorry, that was the thing that people wanted. So people like to think about gold as hard money. Well, really, it's the thing you want to buy with the money that people were focused on. So blacksmithing and different types of math that allowed for accounting. These are technologies that develop that allowed gold to take dominance, and it makes sense that that new technological developments would be would erase would supersede what gold does, in the same way that our computers made it so that we're using debit cards instead of money inside of our wallets. Now, the reason I bring that up is that as I was looking into that, I noticed that if every time you had these technological changes, right, cars or phones, paper, different types of music, uh, different types of speeches, whatever, those who paid attention to the shifts in technology, and I'm talking about technology all the way from like agriculture, the plow, all the way to today. Any type of technology change, it was those who paid attention to those changes and how those changes, those technological changes, affected the society that they were in, who made the most amount of money and were to mitigate the most amount of loss. And so uh, I find that interesting. And an example we could use in our own life. If it used to be that if you didn't have an ad inside of the or listing inside the yellow pages, people weren't going to find your business. I mean, remember the yellow pages used to be delivered to our
I re
door
I
every
remember
month.
going through the yellow pages. I remember, "Oh, I need an electrician," going through the yellow pages and finding it. Okay,
Even if
there.
you wanted someone to order something, oh, is there a pizza place I can get? Like you
Yeah.
didn't find a pizza place by wandering around. You found, I mean, you could find it by wandering
Yeah,
around, but you found it in the yellow pages. Okay, this is what
totally.
something we'll try. I mean, kids nowadays they won't even remember that, but it used to be you sat there with the yellow pages, and if you weren't in the white pages, I can remember your number. Like I wasn't going to be able to find you, and so, but those who stuck with that when the internet came about, right? Who didn't want to be bothered with a newfangled internet because they had to deal with modems and computers that cost all this money. Well, they miss a trend, and there are people today who still pay for the yellow pages. That you have to that as a marketer you have to tell them, look, uh, this is where it's at. Like, I mean, fine,
Even
now it's
yellowpages.com is is totally useless.
exactly, and so the it's seeing people it used to be that you can spend your entire lifetime, like the technological revolution of the plow, well, that lasted for generations, right, before anything changed in that vein. And so you had the luxury of, okay, this technology has been there since I was born, and I could just coast with this through for my lifetime, and I can teach my kids and their kids about that, and that's the technology they're going to be using. And slowly and incrementally, technology was changing over time. Like revolutionary technology was occurring once in a while. Now we're having revolutionary technologies happen multiple times in your lifetime, multiple times in your lifetime. And so if you're not paying attention to technological trends, and I don't just mean crypto, I mean all the technology, the new apps, softwares that are coming out, the new types of computers that you can use. I mean, imagine someone who's using a computer from 10 years ago. They're losing sometimes up to hours a day of productivity that they can have just for the speed of the computer, just for the apps that the applications that they can't run, right? Think
I,
about when you go
I
see your grandma to see their stuff, and
forget my
they're on.
grandma. I have friends who will not be named who have a computer, and you're like, what the heck is this? My phone 4 years ago was better than your stupid computer. What the hell are you doing with this machine?
That's
Why
right.
can't I run anything? What's this? What's this Windows? You got Windows Vistas on this thing? It's kind of crazy.
And the idea of spending $2,000 in order to upgrade that to them seems to be ridiculous. Like, this is
You're like,
serving
oh,
my
it
needs.
works. I can get my recipes.
That's
I
right.
can go on Facebook. And you're like,
But
the
they're not
computer's way
noticing.
more than just going on Facebook and getting recipes. Is that all you're
That's right.
doing with this device?
Exactly.
You know how
They're
powerful
missing
this
out.
thing is?
That's right. They're missing out on the productivity of it. If you actually were to measure and quantify the productivity that you gain out of current technologies, it would. I mean, you would make a peasant in the Middle Ages, like, you were like, you think you did a lot in your day? Oh my God, you planted some seeds compared. You just tugged on some teats compared to what I'm doing in my daily life. You're able to have multiple conversations, parallel conversations at the same time. You're able to consume large amounts of information at once. Like, I could be cleaning my kitchen and listening to a podcast, switching between that and an audiobook, because I'm trying to get a little bit more information about the podcast, and having a conversation with three other people at the same time. And it's like, it's chill. I'm just having a casual day. That's just a casual Tuesday. So the amount of productivity that you
I
get is
love
insane.
being I love being like in traffic in my car because I can listen to things, I can learn things. Hell, I will listen to things. One of the things I want to let people know, you can listen to videos on YouTube at double speed, podcasts at double speed, right? Some people are very slow talkers.
Absolutely.
There's some things you don't need the whole slow mo way of people going. You can just listen double speed. So I'm getting in information. First of all, I didn't realize that in 80% of the cases I put on double speed. To me, that's the speed that my brain works, and
That's
that's
right.
how it should have been to begin with. Okay,
Exactly.
you're slow,
I listen
regular.
to our videos at double speed.
I
It's like,
love
yeah, that's
listening to my videos at double speed, and I talk
yeah.
super fast. Okay, I definitely listen to Elon Musk at double speed. Okay, that guy like he's got pregnant pauses that the Octomom would be jealous of. It's like it's
And
way.
you have two other things you can scrub through things, right? The people are not scrubbing through their information. You could just jump, just like you might flip through pages of a book in order to see if this is interesting to you. Like, people have this thing, well, they're they don't want to download an audiobook, is to them it's like sitting down with a book. They don't want to commit to this whole thing. You can download an audiobook, listen to the first 10 minutes, go, I think I got enough of what they had to say, or it's not catching me, I move on to the next thing. But people don't. People don't follow these developments in technologies enough to realize how much it can actually help them.
Tom,
So
there's a
I
website called Blinkist where you don't even have to read the audiobook. They will summarize the audiobook or the book in for like 15 minutes, and you will get literally all that you need to know. Because a book, what it is the premise, the point, the thesis, and then proving the thesis. Like, that's what most of the book is. It's proving the initial point. I learned this from Seth. Well, I knew this before, but
Seth
Seth
Godin,
Godin
yeah,
mentioned this pretty well. He goes, I read enough of the book in order to get the gist, and I move on, because most of the book is just proving your point. And Blinkist is like it. I'm pretty sure it's Blinkist, and it summarizes it 15 minutes, and then you get the synopsis. You get to learn so much, like the excuses that people have in order to stymie their own progression, their own learning, is so flimsy and so weak. It drives me up the walls. Oh, I don't have time to read a book. I don't have time to do that. I don't have the energy to do that. Well, find the more efficient way to get that information. Like, you can listen to the right podcasts and get a spectrum view on 4 or 5 topics that just knowing that these topics exist would improve
that's
your
right.
life.
That's right.
Just
That
knowing that
that to
it
me is
exists.
knowing that there exists to allow something to spark your curiosity. Now, for me, the vector for being exposed to new technology is video games. Now, I'm not a hardcore video gamer. I actually play a few video games, but paying attention to the video game industry is easy for me, and it's through there that I learned about AI and graphics processors and virtual reality and kids able to build whole worlds like in Minecraft or Roblox. Like it's through there that I understand how things are developing, even if I don't play 90% of the games that people talk about. And so I want people to find their own vector for technological trends. There's things that you're interested in. It could be recipes that you might like to make recipes. Fine, or to try out new recipes. Fine. Then challenge yourself to join a network, a Facebook group, a website, or anything, something that requires you to use technology to gain access to these recipes. And you will see in comments, you will see in how this information is delivered to you that, oh, there's these pockets of technological development that you didn't realize were there, that appeal to you specifically. Uh, Same thing with music. Same thing with art. Anything. You'll find a vector that if you paid attention to it, technology will bleed into there and actually pay attention to it.
So, how does learning and following technology trends give you an edge?
So the future is technology. So, for example, it's a well known idea, well trodden idea that sci-fi, the compendium of sci-fi that a culture creates, is a great leading indicator for what type of technologies, what kind of behaviors people will have in the future. Not that the sci-fi thing is like dead on, but the sci-fi inspires the inventors who then make the thing, right? The phones that we use in our hands that are like the tricorders on Star Trek. Um,
The
uh,
iPad is like the pad in Star Trek. Yeah.
exactly. The sci-fi inspires, and so when you see technology, what happens is that it's
NASA
in
sends things into space named after things that are in Star Trek, like
right.
actual, like, oh, this was the first ship that went out to Mars, so let's name our ship that goes out to Mars the same thing. It's like
Exactly.
it's kind of crazy.
So as a marketer, I see this all the time. Marketers are always trying to jump on the new trend, the new technology, because they are desperate in order to try to get visibility for whatever the thing is that they're trying to promote. And so, if there's Clubhouse app, if there's a new social media platform, if there's a new technology, geolocation, whatever it is, they're going to try to figure it out. They're going to try to use this technology in order to showcase what they're doing. And so, what happens is that when you see a new technology out and it gains any sort of traction, like you start hearing the bubbles of it, know that at least one industry is trying to figure out how can I capitalize on this in order to gain more visibility or more productivity out of what I'm doing. And so the exercise is for you to be like, okay, I'm going to pay attention to this technology, the articles about it, the podcasts about it, to go, what are the ideas floating around this that are gaining strength, and then you could be there beforehand. You could be like, okay, well, I'm going to try to do this, right? The people on Clubhouse, this audio social media network that's all the rage right now. We don't know what it'll turn into, but what we do know is that people are jumping on there to be like, okay, how can I use this for my business? There's doctors on there answering medical questions. There's stand-up comedians there doing live shows.
I
There
did
are
stand-up comedy on there. I
exactly.
actually was able to do workshop my jokes at the Laugh Factory's Clubhouse. The Laugh Factory, the famous Laugh Factory in LA. I got to do jokes for comedians who perform there, comedians who do gigs, actors, and all kinds of successful comedians there, and they got to analyze my jokes. Like, I got into comedy so that I could tell my jokes to other comedians and hear their feedback. Like, the audience is fine, but when the comedians are listening and they're laughing at your jokes, and I was like, how long do I have to do comedy before I can make it to LA and be in the green room there having conversations, shooting the breeze? Like, how long is it going to take me to get there? Clubhouse, like that.
Now, I'm not saying that, oh, Clubhouse is the next big thing. What I'm saying is
Clubhouse
that
is
paying
the next
attention
big
to it,
thing.
paying attention to it allows you to see what are the experiments people are running, and so that you're not caught unawares. You don't want to be there where you're already the and the a late adopter where everyone else has already tilled the soil. You want to be there to go like, hey, seeing this area, I didn't think it'd be interesting to me, but actually, I think I might be able to do something here. I think I might be able to do that. Like I see people nowadays struggling to get their first website up. Right? They're like, oh, I think I need to build a website. I'm like, are you sure you need a website for what you're doing? Like, Like if you're a restaurant and you're starting a website, like that's almost like the last thing you need. You need pictures on Google. You need your information on Facebook. You need your menu downloadable. Other than that, like what are you're going to spend how much time getting this website going?
The
And
amount of
but
restaurants I've
but
said no
they
to.
think of that because they're not seeing the technological change. They're still in yellow pages mentality.
That's right. That's right. The amount of restaurants I've looked up online, they don't have pictures on Google and they don't have a Facebook page. I'm like, I'm not eating at this restaurant.
That's right. Where's your
You
Yelp
mean
reviews?
nobody else went to this restaurant, was like, I gotta tell other people about it, never posted it. What are you talking about? You don't have anything. There's nothing on. Forget you. I'm not going. I'm not
Yeah.
going to that restaurant.
And I'm speaking as a
Oh,
web developer. The idea that I'm like, wait, in my lifetime, I went from not depending on building websites for a living, then building that for a living, and then like talking about I think websites for the majority of businesses are useless. Like that could be useless. That's a I only came to that conclusion because I'm following technology. There's plenty of people still within my field who think for the next 20 years they're going to be making websites. Like, really, you think for the next 20 years you're going to be making websites? That's what you're banking on? Are you out of your mind? Jesus Christ! Do you still have a Tamagotchi in your pocket? What the hell is going on here?
Are there students in school right now learning website design or anything like that?
Absolutely. There are people in a 4-year program right now who are going to come out knowing how to do cold fusion on Dreamweaver. I know that means nothing to you, but it's ancient technology.
I know. Do
It's
you remember?
really it's really
I
quite
was watching
incredible.
this YouTuber.
It's
Uh,
like making your own sawn your own lumber and making your own nails. It's like, did you hear about the Industrial Revolution? We figured this out. No, no, I really like making. I like the homemade nails. Like, yeah, okay, whatever.
I was watching this guy. His channel is a tech lead. I forget his name, but he worked at Facebook and Google. And one of his most recent videos was like, he's a coder, and he's like, "Should you learn to code? Like, we were about done on you needing to know how to code.
That's right.
You need to know how to put together
That's
uh,
right.
services. That's what you need to do. You know, we're about done with that. You want to now start your
Mhm.
career in learning how to code. By the time you finish learning how to do that, Facebook and Google are not hiring you, and AI is going to be producing most of the code anyway. There's going to be all kinds of different ways to do it. It's kind of like, I want to start my company Happy for a Change, and it's like, do I need a building and an office and all that? No. Do I need a website? No. I just need to use the services and network them in such a way that all the information is provided. Like I don't need brick and mortar. I don't need this. Like there's so much better. And being privy to what the technology is gives you the ability to be on it early enough to experiment and to figure out if it's for you. Like, so I was on Clubhouse. Clubhouse is good. I like it for what it does. It's a social media platform. I found that I like Telegram audio better because I could create something specific for what I wanted to do. In fact, this is what we wanted to try here today. I wanted to find a way to have live callers and a live audience being able to come in with audio during our broadcast, during our show, during Bad Guru Nightly, the show that I do, and during this conversation.
And in between, when we want to have just conversations with our patrons.
That's right, exactly. It doesn't even have to be live on the air. We can just do it offline. And what I loved about Clubhouse was that I never realized that video makes it's such a commitment. Whether you're watching it or producing it, it's such a commitment because you got to look it. Everything's got to look nice. Like, maybe I'll show you guys what a place looks like here. This is my place here, and this is Tom's place here. And we gotta go through the effort of dressing nice, looking nice, presenting it. We're limited in what we can do with video, even though we have this video and audio. Just audio alone, however, I'm sitting on the toilet listening to debates and conversations. Like I'm in on my bed at night, half asleep. Like I can drive in my car and listen to what's going on. Audio was really where it's at. Well, how would I have known that audio was where it's at?
That's
But
right.
but for trying out Clubhouse. In fact, I didn't even want to try out Clubhouse. Like I'm not a person who follows fads and all. Like I don't even care about that. I'm not a social creature. But I was like, let me try it out for the technology to see what I might be missing. Never did I realize it would open up this huge field of communication. During this broadcast right now, we have someone in our Telegram group, Telegram audio voice chat group, okay, who can participate in the show. You want to give it a try?
Yeah, let's
Give it a try. Who do we have listening out there? Anybody listening out there? Who's listening out there? Just unmute your mic if you're in the Telegram group right now.
Yeah,
And
we got someone on online. We got a first time, long time. It sure is.
welcome.
So this
It's
is my wife, Melissa Hartman. She's a professional wife. But what I love is that she does this. She's also trying to make sure she keeps abreast of technology, and she get herself outside of her comfort zone in order to stay abreast with all the new trends that are happening. So she is doing a podcast with her sister called The Sistership. Uh, Fantastic podcast. You can get it on Apple
really
Podcasts or Spotify. And so, Melissa, tell us a little bit about the podcast.
uh, I'm sorry for interrupting you just real quick. I'm told Sam says she can't hear her. We just want to make sure that she can be heard. Um, Thank you, Sam, for letting me know. I'm going to check real quick. I hear you. If you speak, yeah, so I can hear you there. Okay. While you talk, maybe I should just check real quick because this is what it's like trying new technology. Uh,
Exactly. You figure out where the bugs are, and you go, "Hey, but this might not be. There's something here." All right. Well, it might be okay that in here, Melissa, because she was just swearing up a storm. She's just a sailor when it comes to when it comes to a mic.
Thank you for your patience,
Yeah,
Melissa.
Melissa, can you hear yourself on the computer when you're checking it out? Okay. Nope. Yeah, no problem. So you're going to see us really trying to push you to try new technologies. That's like one of the reasons why we're so insistent that if you can listen to us at all, you get some cryptocurrency. Not because we think that Bitcoin is necessarily going to go to $1 million per Bitcoin and become rich, but going through the effort of actually exposing yourself to new technology and new trends is extremely valuable. It keeps your mind flexible, and another thing we're going to want you to do, like we said before, we want you to be on Telegram. We want you to be on Clubhouse. We want you to be on the Facebook groups. We want you to really use technology in your day-to-day life so that you can feel what it's like to be connected to more and more things. We've been giving you homework, right? You got the fourth turning to listen to. You can read or listen to it. You, Give yourself those challenges. It's just a few minutes of your time. If you're not hooked after 5-10 minutes, fine, then stop. But we're telling you that the information that's available to you on a daily basis, that's just right there, a click away, is unbelievable. Whether you're driving your car, cleaning your kitchen, or as Peter does, taking a poop. He loves learning things while he's taking a poop.
All right, so I can hear her. Tom can hear her. Unfortunately, she's not coming through the live stream. I'm not exactly sure why that's the case.
Well, I guess we're just hearing her through Telegram on our computer.
Yeah, so I guess it's not coming through. Anyway, that's my fault. I've got to figure out how to connect it
Sorry
there.
about that, Melissa.
Thank you to everybody who's commenting here. It's so funny. Can't hear. Hear her.
Can't hear.
We can't hear.
All
Nobody can hear
right.
her.
All right, let's let that go. And
We'll have to correct it.
all right,
She's
Melissa,
she's
we're gonna have
asking
to
if she
say
should go away now. She's
yeah.
asking if she should go away now. I'm going to relay all of her messages. Okay, so, Melissa, tell us about the podcast. It's a phenomenal podcast that everybody should listen to.
That's
What's that?
right.
It only costs $200. Go ahead. Only 3 listeners allowed at the same time. So I think there's already two, the two
And,
sisters, only
and
one.
she's also saying that she hopes that her podcast can live up to what she sees in Peter and I, like just unbelievable entertainers and a great provider of information. That's so nice of
You're
you to
so
say,
kind.
Melissa.
That's so
So nice.
nice. You're such a nice woman. She's totally agreeing right now. She's not yelling or swearing at all.
No, she's not standing in front of me right now, waving her finger.
Uh,
All
that's
right.
great.
Well, I guess we'll wrap it up for tonight. We've been keeping people here long enough, huh, Peter?
Yeah, mute yourself over on Telegram so I don't have to hear this double voice. But thank you so much, Melissa. We're going to have you back to talk about your wonderful podcast, the Sistership Podcast, and we're going to have we're going to open up the room so that any one of you can come in and participate. You can ask questions, you can make comments, all while in your pajamas, sitting on the toilet. You don't even have to worry about it. Just don't flush. Okay,
That's
I've
right.
made that mistake before.
But
I've
we
called
will ask you if you bought any cryptocurrency, any Bitcoin, and we will ask you what books you've been reading lately. So you better have good answers for that, or you're going to get grilled.
I want to thank everybody for watching. We're getting some good reactions here. Wilfred is laughing. Ha ha ha. It's pretty cool. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Even technical glitches can be fun. Look, we live by what we preach, okay? We've got to practice, try to use things. Yes, it might not go the way you want, but there's nothing wrong with that. You know, we're not sitting here sweating in shame, feeling terrible about how things didn't work out well. We're not feeling embarrassed and wanting to just leave as fast as possible because how dare we try to use something that we didn't know would work for sure. Sure, we tried for an hour before the show started, an hour and a half to make it work, and we were confirmed. We almost gave up, but we didn't give up, and we stuck in there. And yes, it failed at the end, at the last, and it didn't work out. But that's the way you learn and grow, folks. That's what you got to go out and do. And what we want to do is encourage you to go do some homework. At the end of these jump starts, we got some homework for you. What's our homework for them today, Tom?
So you're going to go ahead and download Clubhouse. If you need an invite for Clubhouse, you can hit us up. We'll get you on there and try a room. Jump into a room. There's going to be some topic you're interested in, some room that's happening. You don't have to say anything. You just listen and really feel that experience of like, okay, like be proud of yourself that you're doing something brand new. So go on Clubhouse. We also encourage you to join a Telegram. Now it's really for our patrons at the moment. So if you want to have access to all the different perks that we have on Patreon, you can. And one of those will be access to the Telegram group where you get to talk to us and chat with us throughout the day.
Excuse me. You'll be able to text chat, and you'll also be able to participate when we do voice sessions. It's
often what
a
happens
really
is
fun
that
perk that our patrons can get.
Peter and I will be having a conversation trying to flush out an idea, and often we're like, "Oh, we should just do this on Telegram. Let's do this with other people listening. They could chime in if they want to, or we can solicit information from the crowd." We really want it to feel like sort of like an old school like a salon that they used to have previously, where you would go to someone's house for a party, and there might be some people talking instead of a room, and you can listen without having to have the obligation of talking, and you can learn something and be exposed to new ideas. So instead of having these conversations that are just siloed between Peter and I, or just with the groups of friends that we have, we love to open up to the rest of you so that we can all benefit.
We're not going to keep you here much longer. We're going to be done in about 60 seconds. Thank you so much for watching the show, for being with us. We've been here for over an hour and 12 minutes. So I'm really happy to everybody who, however much you watch, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. If you could just take a moment and go over to youtube.com/happyforachange and just hit that like on this video. It'll help other people find the video, lets people know that there's something valuable going on. And if you're inclined, you can subscribe to us on Happy for a Change. And we got lots of great content coming. And we have Bagger Nightly, we have Jumpstarts, we have a ton of information if you haven't seen it yet. Things that will give you an edge, things that will help you to make money, understand yourself better, and understand the world better. Happy for a Change is here for you. If you haven't done it yet, you can go over and join the Happy for a Change audience over at facebook.com/Happy for a Change. We're creating the largest online audience of people who are willful, deliberate, who recognize the value of their attention and are willing to give their attention to great ideas that make you more effective, more efficient, more capable of pursuing your dreams. We believe that if we allow great ideas to thrive, then we create a better world, and it will make it easier for you as an individual to enjoy your life. Jumpstart is here to jumpstart your life, to give you that edge that you're looking for you to understand what's going on around you, and for you to not be left behind. Yeah, we talk a lot about crypto, but that's just because crypto is the next best thing. It's like if we didn't talk about the internet. You want us to be talking about horse and buggies? Huh? What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you, people? No. But if you have any questions and comments, we are always open to hearing what you have to say. You can check Tom out on Twitter at Sacred Prophet. You can
That's
check
right.
me out on Twitter at I Love Peter Paul. Now I'm the one who stuck with that. Tom's got Sacred Prophet, or I am Baguru. Why did I give the I Love?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna do that.
exactly. It's I am
I am
Baguru.
Baguru. But thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. It really, 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 really helps us. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Tom, was there something that I missed?
No, but you did it over the 60 seconds, so you broke a promise there at the end.
I broke my promise. Okay, well, that's fine. Let's end it right now. Thank you so much for Melissa. Thank you, everybody who's watching. Oh, there was one comment I forgot to highlight here. We had Heather who popped in earlier who said, just hopping on, love your setup. Well, we love our setup too, up until that last little bit. Thank you to everybody who's watching. My name is Peter Hartman.
I'm Tom Hartman.
And you're watching Jumpstart. Go do your homework, folks.
Ciao.